Welcome to the Guy in the Net YouTube channel. I'm going to age myself a little bit. I don't really know how it works. I'm going to rely on my wife and some of my younger friends to kind of help walk me through it. But I've gotten several requests to, like, hey, post this in more detail on YouTube and so forth. And I agree, it's hard to get the amount of information needed through in 90 seconds. So definitely a good idea. It's been part of the plan, but I want to start with this drill because I really truly believe that anybody can benefit from understanding it. And it's kind of corny, it seems kind of elementary, but to me the transitions, if not the most important, one of the most important aspects of the golf swing. It allows for a better windup, it allows for better transition, for better pressure, and something that I always kind of reference to the guys I'm working with is that pressure precedes an athletic motion. And what I mean by that is, no matter what sport you're playing, if you're playing baseball, you're planting and then you're unwinding. If you're pitching, you plant and then you unwind. If you're bowling, you plant and then unwind. If you're dancing, if you're making a move in football, the pressure must happen in order to do something quickly. It's kind of obvious, but golfers, I think, tend to foul this up, right? We like to get to the trail side and then rotate to the lead side. And that, to me, would kind of be the same thing as hitting a baseball without our lead foot planting. It just doesn't happen, right? So why it happens in golf, I don't really know. I mean, it's something I fought. It's something that I would say most people that I work with that aren't on TV battle this to some extent. And this drill, I think, kind of once you get the concept of it, really helps understand the sequence and timing of the transition to get to the lead side, store some power, and ultimately let us get to our plant side and have a much more athletic pivot through the shot. And the way I like to kind of do it, now Dr. Kwon, got to give him credit for this because he's the first one that I saw do it. Someone may have done it before, I don't know. But he has a drill called the rope drill, and he uses a rope. And he kind of likes to slap the, he's kind of doing the same thing, but he's kind of slapping it on his back, and once it's on its back, then he's getting to the lead side, and back and forth and back and forth. My thoughts on it are maybe slightly different. Maybe it's the same, but the way I like to do it, and since I don't have a rope, I just use a club. But I just want the club, but I just like to get it swinging independently, no pressure change, just kind of in a pendulum, right? Kind of get it swinging like this. And then initially to start, I kind of want the pressure moving with the club, right? So if the club goes this way, pressure goes this way, the club goes this way, pressure goes this way. That's initially, right? And as we start to grow it, I kind of want to start getting the pressure working a little bit in the opposite direction of the club, right? So as I'm winding up, I'm getting the pressure into the lead side. As I'm getting the club all the way extended to the lead side, I'm working that pressure back. And it starts to create a swivel in the hips, right? We can get the shoulders bigger, get the swing bigger, and ultimately the idea is it helps us understand the timing on when to get that pressure into the lead side, and it stores a ton of energy because we're kind of finishing our wind up as we get to that side. And that is kind of creating that rubber band or slingshot effect that you hear people talk about. And again, that puts us back into the plant position where, once we're planted, things can happen much quicker. We can pivot faster. It allows for an athletic move to happen, right? And if we're not, if we're trying to make an athletic move without our feet on the ground, like the only people I know that really do that are gymnasts and divers and things like that. But that's a different story. But you know, I don't think any of us are gymnasts. I know I'm not. But anyway, like a couple other things that this will do is it'll teach us that, like, if I'm winding up, and let's say I get my trail hip pretty lateral. Let's say I get my trail hip on top of my right ankle socket. If I get it all the way back there and leave it there, and I try to keep turning, it kind of locks it up, right? So my turn with my right hip back here, that's about maxed out. Now, if I start getting this right hip working a little bit more towards the target, see that? That can free up, you know, 10 to 15 degrees on the shoulders, on the hips, but it's part of kind of when I talk about the swivel, because for me, I like the right hip to kind of get a little bit lateral, but then I'm winding up and that trail hip will work a little bit more towards the target. That's a recentering mechanism for me, and that my move that I like to use that I worked with George on is really to kind of get this hip back inside of this foot, get this left femur pointing more down, and I'm kind of, you know, once I'm there, I'm kind of recentered and I can really pressure into that lead side by kind of squeezing that right hip, right? So I'm blending that in with my version of the rope drill. A lot of people have different ways that they like to unwind, different triggers. For me, I like thinking of in the right hip because it helps pressure, put that pressure back into the lead side. It helps me stay in flexion, waist bend, and for me that is an important piece of the puzzle because I want to get that pressure back here so that my lead hip can start working back, because I get hung up if I'm pressuring to the lead side and that left hip works up. I do not clear as well. It gets very hard to pivot post impact, and I feel like I lose control of the club. So this drill, like I said, helps in a ton of different ways. And like almost every beginner I work with, I use this drill. Most pros are pretty good at it, but you know, occasionally they might get out of sequence. And I think this is kind of the easiest way, kind of give us some rhythm and kind of help us understand when that pressure should move and to do it in an athletic fashion. So a couple drills that you can put in play, or at least that I will. I see this one quite a bit, where somebody be set up and they'll just kind of do a forward and then wind up and pressure back. And that's a pretty good one, right? Like, so club works forward and they're kind of doing all the principles of the rope drill. They're just doing a truncated version of it. Right, so that's definitely one way you can do it. You know, sometimes I'll even mix in like the full deal, right? I'll get it, you know, start off slow. I'm gonna try to speed this up for y'all. Gradually increase and how everything's swiveling, and that's where I'm kind of going, right? So I'm winding up as I get, you know, kind of just right here, P3.5, P4 is where I'm kind of working on that pressure, getting recentered, and I can get that hip flexion and start getting that left hip, because the flexion, once it increases in the right hip, to me kind of transfers to the left hip and helps it work more back this way versus up that way. That's important to me. Everybody swings a little different. Some people might, you know, some people are pretty good at working that lead hip up. I just don't rotate as well that way. So yeah, long story short, get it winding up and really just kind of focus on my transition move, and this will kind of help me sync up the timing of it and really just, like I said, understand the timing, understand the sequence. It really helps, you know, kind of automate that, right? That one didn't feel like a great one, so like if I were to do it just kind of the truncated version, for me, I want to make sure that I'm getting here and getting that flexion. And anyway, really clears things up. It's a move, it's a drill I like to do almost every time I'm warming up. When I get out here in the net, before tournaments, you know, you've got to trunk slam it and don't have much time to hit balls. this is something I'll pretty much do as often as I can, because I definitely don't think it's something you can overdo, and I'm pretty sure I don't know anyone that's not going to benefit from it. So anyway, appreciate y'all. I'll start posting more stuff on here, and appreciate all y'all that have reached out. Feel free to ask questions, yeah, on Instagram, on here, if that's even possible. Hell, I don't know. But anyway, more to come, and cheers. Thank y'all.